I gotta look them up. There's a video. You know, they always have these YouTube video compilations and stuff. But that's one I remember the most because everyone else is like a, super this or an explosion or whatever. But Leo just fucking impales your fucking ass. Like he just skewers you. You know what I mean? Like damn.
Yeah, but the controls for those finishers were so weird. It was like, all right, you have to go up, up, down, down, left, right. Get in your car, go down I-95, pick a pancake up from Waffle House, all sort of crazy shit just to get this thing to work.
I was about to say that sounds like you're trying to play the Konami code, or either how about the first Sonic game, put the up, down, left, right, A, B, start or whatever to get the select screen or whatever it was. I think that's what it was.
The music select screen?
No, the stage select. In the first Sonic game.
Yeah. And they're doing the Mortal Kombat code. They do these fucking supers. Basically.
And then in the Super Nintendo version, when you want to do your special move, you just hit X and A. And that's it.
Yeah.
Now they can block it, or they can avoid it. So there's that. But, I mean, all you had to do was hit two buttons at the same time, and that was pretty cool.
What? I have a question now, based around that. So you said that the gameplay is horrible compared to Super Nintendo version. Like I said, honestly, I don't remember enough about the Super Nintendo to give an opinion. I mean, I was kind of neutral on the game itself, which is not why I never asked for it, I guess. But the actual difficulty level in a general sense. Y'all said the gameplay wasn't very good on the Genesis, but how would you compare the actual difficulty levels with both? Or did y'all just not play it long enough to even?
No,
okay, never mind.
Everyone was cheesy as fucking hell, and whatever move they had that was their most powerful one, they would spam the fucking hell out of it. Everyone, it was annoying. I think one of the first characters, because I think it was one of those games where you fight the same guys in order. It's not really so mixed. I think one of the first ones was one of the Turtles clones. Yeah, it takes forever just to beat the first one. That's like the first one. It's fucking annoying.
So it's sort of like there wasn't a good learning curve for the Genesis version.
I mean, it doesn't help that the controls are bad and you can't do the moves when you want them to. That weird knockdown second delay really, really gets in the way. Everything annoys me about that fucking game. I even hate, like, the beginning is always like round one, fight, and you hear this weird sound before the actual, gameplays. Even that fucking annoys me. Like, wow.
Okay. The best way I can put it to you as far as the Genesis version, all right, you remember the last four bosses on Street Fighter 2?
Yeah.
And how you'd play them, and like as soon as the round would start, they'd go in with a special move and they just keep spamming it over and over and over and over.
Balrog. Oh my gosh. And Balrog and Sagat, those two seem always got me.
Exactly. Now imagine a whole game just like that. The entire game.
Okay.
But
that's the impression I was getting.
I remember sort of that Krang and Karai were not that bad. If you got past Triceratops, like he should have been the final boss, how cheesy he was. If you got past him, those two were not that bad in comparison. They were bad, but not, I mean, Triceratops was that's the dude that makes me like throw my controller in rage.
Well, see, I stopped before it tried to give me a major aneurysm, so there you go.
I was like, no, I must beat this game at least once. I want to see, because back then I didn't know who the bosses were or whatever. I want to beat this game at least once. And then this shit's out of here. You know what I mean?
Now, I'll actually go into another subject. This is how bad the game was. The last time that I touched it was, I'd say, probably back in, 2005, just to mess with it for a little bit. It was so horrible. I turned the Genesis off, and Mortal Kombat Annihilation was on. I watched the rest of Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I would rather watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation than play the Genesis version of Tournament Fighters.
That's
how bad it is.
Goodbye. I'm leaving. I'm sorry. I can't.
So
I need whiskey right now.
Annihilation over the Genesis one. So it's like, it's too bad that you will die.
I picked today's fuck no matter what.
I picked Annihilation Hell over Turtle Hell. That's just what happened.
Now, I will say this.
You know you are screwed if you would choose Mortal Kombat Annihilation over anything.
I will not buy that for $1.
They would know better than I from a first-hand standpoint about the actual difficulty of the Genesis version. But what I will say is that everything I've read, along with what I've played in the Super Nintendo version, which is quite extensive, they're both hard in different ways. Like the Super Nintendo one has been handing me my ass pretty good. It's a hard game. It's one of the hardest fighting games I've ever played, but there's different ways a game could be hard. Everything I've ever heard about the Genesis falls in line exactly with what Mark and everybody else has been saying about how on Genesis the controls, they just don't fucking work. And the enemies are cheap as shit. They will consistently do the worst move to you over and over again and just leave you with nothing to defend yourself. And when you try to do anything, there's input lag and XYZ. It's basically, as I understand it, built full of what I call fuck you gameplay. It's like when the game itself is just saying, fuck you. And
Pretty much.
daring you to keep putting up with it. Whereas on the Super Nintendo, all the difficulty comes from the AI being smart and cheap and, you know, spamming murder moves on you. But it can be overcome because in the Super Nintendo, as hard as the game is, I have to give credit where credit's due. When you push buttons, things happen. It's one of the best fighting games I've ever played insofar as responsiveness. If I do an input, the game does the move. Now, whether I did it too fast or too late and I still take damage or I missed the move or whatever, that ultimately feels like it's on me. But it doesn't change the fact that if I go forward, down, forward, quarter circle, punch, Leo's going to do that big flippy flash kick thing in the air every time.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel good. I can.
So the bottom line is it feels fair.
That's sometimes. I will say, you know, I don't always agree with that, honestly, because that's the thing. That's where I want to segue into just how difficult the Super Nintendo version really is. Because if there's one negative, and it is unfortunately a big one, if there's anything negative I can say about the game is that it's just too damn hard. It's just too damn hard. There's times when you're fighting a couple of the characters, like for me, Shredder pissed me off more than anything. If I'm lucky enough to get him into a pattern, like with Chrome Dome, where he just keeps trying to jump at me, I could do the flash kick thing in midair and just do that 3 or 4 times. Flash kick, shining cutter, flash kick, shining cutter. And if he falls for that, I can do it. But it takes me 100 tries to get that to him because either I'm too fast or too slow. There are times playing the Super Nintendo one where it legitimately feels like you don't really beat it. The game just throws you a pity fuck. Like, I've lost to Shredder like 20 times in a row and then finally beat him because he just decides to stop attacking me or whatever. And it's frustrating because you don't feel satisfaction in those moments. It's like, oh, the game got tired of kicking my ass, I guess, so it just decided to let me win. That's fucking fair. But it's just a thing a lot of those games were like back then. I've said this about a lot of fighting games, about why back then I didn't play them very much at all. I didn't really get into the genre. I played the Mortal Kombats because to me they were easy. But Soul Calibur really fighting games, that's a whole other thing. But at least that I could win at. This is one of the hardest fighting games I've ever played, and I do like it. It's a lot of fun. There's fun to be had. But there's tons of frustration, too, when you get caught in this cycle of, geez, they're just not giving me nothing. They're just not letting me do shit sometimes. Because there's times where if you, like, miss one input, they will just massacre you. And that one mistake is the only mistake you get to make. And that's not even on the highest difficulty. That's even around the middle. And that just really does piss me off. It does.
I like I said, I don't have many memories, but I don't remember playing it long. So maybe the difficulty was just too much for me, which is why I never got it or asked for it.
I mean,
I don't really remember.
I've been looking in my research to do the podcast. I was looking around online, and that's like one of the most consistent things people say about the game. And it is, in a way, sort of a forgotten Ninja Turtles game because it came out after the peak, but also late in the console lifespans, and not as many people played it or remembered it as you'd think. a lot of people are going to be playing it for the first time later this year when the collection comes out. And sometimes people say, well, why isn't Tournament Fighters more fondly remembered? Why wasn't it a bigger deal? Why didn't it become a franchise? Why don't people talk about it more now? And it's like, well, it's so fucking hard. Most people never even beat it. So it's real. And that's the consistent thing people bring up is they're like, well, it's great. The presentation is fantastic, but oh man, just clear your weekend. If you want to actually play this game and be any good at it, this game has to be all you focus on for like 2 or 3 days. Yeah. Otherwise, get used to getting the shit kicked out of you. The lower difficulties, the first like 3, not so bad. But once it's one of those games where you don't get the real ending until you start at level 3 or higher. And by that point, that's where the computer just stops giving you a chance. So it's like, that's the one thing I think. If I could change anything, I wouldn't even change the roster. If I could only make one change, I would have just dialed that shit down a little bit because it's the same problem the original Ninja Turtles game for NES had. It's like everybody remembers it as being awesome, but it's like, it's unreasonable. Like there's no reason for a game to crucify you that badly. It's just a fucking game, and these were Ninja Turtles games, so ostensibly you'd figure they were mostly for kids. So while I appreciate that they kept it real and it was still in the Street Fighter vein, like I don't think it needed to be as hard as Street Fighter. I don't think that necessarily needed to happen.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, back then, I don't know about now, though, because, if I go in now, I'll probably get my ass kicked. I have to remember all the things. But, I mean, back then, that was my obsession. Like, that was, just like how when we first bought, I guess, Street Fighter or Final Fight or Super Mario World or whatever, like, that was my obsession to play that game nonstop and, get all the endings, get all the difficulties. And I think only one time I was able to get, because I think you get different ranks depending on how much money you make at the end of the game ending. There's a screen of the turtles with April there, and you get like some kind of rank or something. So the highest possible rank was, I think it was called King of Kings.
Yes.
And I don't know if you have to either win every round or win every round perfect, because I can't see myself winning.
I think it's just no continues. I think it's just no continues. Yeah,
but also a crazy high score. You have to get those bonus rounds, like super perfect, like destroy those safes and get, as much points as you can. And then you get that. I think I only did that just once in my life and everything. And just wow, man. But yeah, that's how obsessed I was with it. And of course, Johnny and I would just play like crazy versus matches on that shit the whole time and getting all the characters and learning all the moves and combos and all the endings and all that, but damn.
I know how rounded it is with the different fighters, even though some of them are cheap or whatever. I don't guess some of them are cloned from Street Fighter characters, but at the same time, though, it's like they are all unique in their own way. Some guys are almost pure defense. Some of them are nothing but offense. Some of them like to hit from above. Some of them like to do projectiles. It's like there really is a lot of variety with 12 or so characters that the game has. I mean, that is really cool to me. Like whether you're playing as them or against them, like the variety is really, really cool.
I was gonna say between the Genesis and the Super Nintendo version, if we were being forced to choose, like I said, my cousin and I had the Super Nintendo, she had the Genesis. So if we had seen Tournament Fighters like side by side, I'm pretty sure we would have went with the Super Nintendo by default because she had a 3-button controller. I mean, we hated it for Street Fighter, so it's like no, Super Nintendo. So you probably, even if we would have seen it, we probably wouldn't have rented it, the Genesis version, either way, because we knew, we would have seen it with a fighting game. Genesis just no.
Yeah. A little bit like that Genesis commercial, the one that was like the guy trying to sell Super Mario World, but Sonic was in the background, and the guy was trying to sell Super Mario World, but the guy was more interested in Sonic and everything. It's like that. If you had your TV, I don't know why your friend would want to sell you the Genesis version or whatever, but you would definitely choose the SNES one instead,
Yeah.
I don't know how that commercial would go. Like, get this game, go to Dimension X and stuff. What's it again?
If your friend gives you the Genesis version, ditch that friend. No, correction. Suplex them, then ditch them.
I can imagine that. Like the Genesis version, it's got cool characters. You got April and Casey. Yeah, but the SNES version looks cool. Yeah, whatever. Here you go like to Dimension X and stuff and fight turtle clones. Yeah, but the graphics look awesome there. But screw the Genesis version. I'm getting the SNES version. And it'll be the reverse of SNES does what Genesis don't. You know what I mean?
Like it always intrigued me.
Get the Super Nintendo version. It's playable.
Yeah, it is It is very playable. It is cheap. It is difficult. There's times when it is infuriatingly difficult, but it is playable. You push buttons and the buttons work. It is one of the most responsive, smoothest playing fighting games. And I say this as somebody who's not particularly good at it, but I mean, I have to give credit where it's due. I mean, I'm not good at fighting games, but this one, I push the buttons, I do the things, and the things happen on the TV. So, I mean, it shouldn't be like, good job doing what you're supposed to do, right? But at the same time, I've played stuff like Justice League Task Force, where it's like, is this game, did they literally program this game? Were they living under the bottom, were they living at the bottom of the sea when they programmed this game? Because that's what it plays like. Like you're in a swimming pool doing these fighting game moves, and there's such a lag, and this and it's like, so I do feel like sometimes I'm just happy to take a small victory. Like I play a fighting game, and it just does what I tell it to do. Like, oh, hallelujah.
See, we're in the same boat because honestly, I'm not really good at fighting games either, and I am terrible at them now, but I will still play something every once in a while, but it's not my forte.
I mean, there were so many Street Fighter II ripoffs, and we talked when we did the Mortal Kombat cast about how they did such a great job of distinguishing themselves from Street Fighter, and that's what made them successful. Whereas Tournament Fighters, it followed the same formula of a lot of other companies, which was like, let's just do Street Fighter 2, but with different characters, because it really is very similar to Street Fighter 2.
Yes, that's the other thing I remember from when I was playing it. I felt that it was like, I do remember feeling like it was like a Street Fighter game, which was another reason why we said, oh, well, Super Nintendo anyway. Good controller for it, but yeah, that's something else I do remember.
It definitely rips hard on Street Fighter, but it does it so much better, I think, than anybody else who tried. Like you had your Fighters History and World Heroes and whatever else, they weren't as good. This was good. Like it sounds like such a simple thing. Like just be good, but it was.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. Can I also add that the graphics style kind of looks like very similar to Street Fighter 2 in a certain way?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So one
And
thing I
the
do want to
background
say, guys,
scenes
a
and
good
all
way
that.
to wait, what, Johnny? Sorry.
Like the background stage and the way the turtles fight, the way the characters animate, and they do the basic, like the little jabs, the hard punch, the roundhouse kick, the jumps, the blocks. Like it has like the very same Street Fighter 2 basic mechanics. Genesis Turtle game, I don't know what the fuck that was.
Yeah.
And honestly, I felt like they really did a rush job in that game, in my opinion. Like I don't know what direction they were going with that, but it's just like no.
And something that I don't think gets enough credit with Tournament Fighters is Tournament Fighters introduced that backflip, which changed the gameplay.
Oh yeah, you do have a back attack for them. I don't know. Was it Turtles only or everybody?
Well, I only usually play as the Turtles, but I know that by doing the backflip, you can avoid almost every attack somebody's trying to do because it just hops right over or around whatever. So there's a lot of times when somebody's kind of pushing me back in the corner with Leo, and I'm just like, I'm playing Leo, and I'm just like, backflip, and then they stop for a second, leg sweep, boom, and just, that's something you couldn't do in Street Fighter, but it was a defensive tactic that changed the way you played the game, because instead of just blocking or jumping, now you could just backflip right through an attack and counterattack.
Yeah.
Oh, and can I also add that the Tournament Fighters, the SNES version, they also have like I don't know what they're called, the desperation moves, which in that time, not many fighting games had that. I mean, I think Super Street Fighter 2 was probably the first game that kind of introduced that concept.
Super Turbo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Super Turbo was the first one with super moves. Well, on the Street Fighter side. But yeah, Tournament Fighters beat that. I think it came out before Super Turbo, didn't it?
I think so.
That was simple to do, wasn't it? Like you just press two buttons for that.
Oh yeah, you just X and A.
I
Boom.
love that. So I love that 'cause compared to
The D power connect the dot motion.
This ain't even get started with the how difficult it is to do the desperation moves on on the SNK games like Fatal Fury, Archive, World Heroes Perfect.
Yeah. I still can't do Duck King's move, his super move. But anyways, guys, here's a fun thing to kind of wrap up the video. I think we kind of went through everything we would say of the Tournament Fighter games. So here's a cool thing. Why don't we do a 20 character build the roster for Tournament Fighters 2? The only reason I'm saying 20 is because obviously the Turtles and Shredder are going to be in it, so it would be like 25 in general. 25 is a good roster to start. So not counting the Turtles and Shredder, and there's like what? There's 5 of us here, right? 5? Well, we get, I guess, no, we get what? 4 each? I can't think. We get 4 each, 5 each. Math is not good for me right now. 20, I had a long day. A lot of math was involved today, so my brain's kind of fried.
We got the Rodriguez brothers, we got Panda, we got Jupi, and we got the Rockstar. So that's 5.
Okay, so we get, well, I mean, in terms of, we would get 4 each then if we're doing it by 20, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we can start, Ricky. What would be one character you would add? Because we'll kind of, take turns and stuff. What would be your first character you would add to the roster, not counting the Shredder and the Turtles, because, like, again, they're the obvious picks.
Who's going first?
Oh, and you. And from anything, the movies, the new shows, old shows, from any,
Okay, so just the first of 4, or do you want all 4?
First of 4, so you can kind of take turns and
First of 4. Well, I'll say, I mean, if it's not the Turtles and it's not Shredder, I'm going to have to say Casey Jones.
There we go.
He's probably the most glaring omission in this game, even though he does show up as a background character. But, I mean, I remember a lot of people being disappointed when the Genesis version came out because they're like, oh, dude, you get to play as Casey. Oh, fuck me. This game sucks my butt. So I think, yeah, he would have been probably most people's pick. So let's start with Casey Jones. He's a must-have.
Yeah, and I think to make it easier, we'll go by the order of like our faces here in the chat thing. So I'm going with Slash. They just have Slash, and obviously the original crazy action figure with the sharp teeth and what he calls the Psycho Sai, the big twisted Sai. So get that version of Slash, not like the cartoon version or whatever. So there you go. I'm going with Slash, and Jupi.
I had an idea, but it just left me. I would go with, oh my goodness, I'm trying to think, who would I go with? Okay, I'm kind of a dork, but I want Shinigami
There you go.
for the 2012 series because of the mystic, magical type, goth type attack stuff maybe she could have.
And she also has like this like a whip thing, right? Like a chain whip thing or something. It's been a while since I've seen
Yeah,
it.
I love that little chain whip because I was like one of my favorite characters from Soul Calibur. So yeah.
There you go, Shinigami. That's a great pick. That's someone named, because we need some oddballs in there too, What, Panda?
Okay, so I'm going to throw in a Ninja Turtle character that actually his whole crew is rare that they're even talked about or shown. How about Attila the Frog from the Punk Frogs?
Oh,
There you go.
geez. I forgot. Which weapon was his again? Because
This was the Morning Star.
It was?
Yep.
Wow, I could not remember that. I know one had an axe or something. But...
And I think it was Genghis Frog had the axe. And the cool thing is, if you don't want to have all 4, like the rest could be cameos on his stage. So there you go,
There you go.
And Johnny?
I would have added Usagi Yojimbo. I think that would have been cool.
There you go. And then back to you, Rikki Roxx.
Well, that was going to be my next pick if nobody else said it, for sure. So, yeah, because, I mean, he's a great character who's come to, even though he wasn't created to be part of the Ninja Turtles universe, he's crossed over with them enough times so that he's kind of been, in a sense, almost grandfathered in. So, yeah, there's a good pick. So, without that one, I'm going to have to say, well, because there's so many. I'm trying to pick most of the ones who weren't in either of these games or any versions of these games. So let's go ahead, and somebody's going to have to follow up on it, of course, because if you can't have one without the other. But let's say Rocksteady, and Rocksteady is one of those ones where why was he not in any of these?
There you go.
It's almost too obvious. But that's the thing. It's obvious. Why didn't they just do that in the first fucking place?
Yeah. So I guess I'll bite the bullet and I'll say Bebop then, because again, can't have one without the other. It would be kind of weird. I mean, it's bad enough that Bebop wasn't in Hyperstone Heist. Let's not do it for Tournament Fighters 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What the fuck was that shit? I just played that for the first time a few weeks ago, and I was like,
You never played Hyperstone Heist before?
no, I didn't have a Genesis until 2001, and then it was in storage until last year. So I've been playing a lot of Genesis stuff for the first time. Believe it or not, yeah.
That game,
Yeah,
man.
it's good. It's good, but
Yeah,
again,
that's right.
like you said, they didn't have them in Hyperstone Heist. What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
No, see, okay, to me, I'm sorry for going a little off topic, but Hyperstone Heist was just a half of a game in a way, because look at what you had to do before you fought, who was it? Because you had to refight some of the other...
You had to do the whole boss rush over again.
Yeah, Baxter
Yeah.
Stockman was like the boss of that one, like the actual boss, not the recycle like everyone else.
Yeah, and I was like, that was just a waste. But we still always just kept playing it over and over and over and over because we just had the game. So we played it over and over and over. It still wasn't as good as Turtles in Time. But anyway, my next pick, God, my stupid brain today. Anyway, my next pick, I was going to say an actual, like an actual appropriate, I wouldn't mind seeing something like that, just for the heck of it.
Hun, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, the actual 2003 version, not the Bruce Lee Hun and name only version.
Now, how about this? A little mesh of both of them, but just not as Bruce Lee-ish. We don't want that, but maybe like you know what I'm trying to say? Just a nice mixture of the two characters.
I like the 2003 version.
Just as long as he's not a 1000% Bruce Lee ripoff.
Yeah.
Unless he's like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I might can handle that one. Because I love that movie. I thought it was great.
You're up, Panda.
Okay, so another turtle character, again, rather obscure. How about Mondo Gecko?
Hey, there we go.
There we go.
You could probably do some cool
Crazy ass
stuff.
skateboarder, could be a definite arch nemesis to Michelangelo. Hell, might even be able to put in a skateboard mini game, just from him being in there. So, be worth a shot.
I could see a lot of cool attacks with Mondo Gecko using the skateboard. Like Leo's got the one move where he jumps in the air and he crashes down with the knee drop. I could see Mondo kind of riding the skateboard down onto you, and I could see that hurting. I could see him doing like a kickflip kind of thing. Yeah, there's some cool, unique looking stuff you could do with that character. I hadn't even thought about that, but that's a good one, man.
Johnny?
I would like to add Leatherhead.
Which version though?
Well, I'm more familiar with the cartoon / Turtles in Time version of Leatherhead.
Yeah. That seems to be what I would think of. If I thought of Leatherhead in the game, that's what my mind would be drawn to as well.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to make the hottest pot of turtle gumbo you ever did see, I guarantee.
That was horrible.
I know.
I probably couldn't do. I could do much better, but I need a lot more medicine before I could attempt that. But anyway, okay. So what? I guess we're back to me now. So third.
Go to Louisiana. You have to go to Louisiana. You have to go to Louisiana. Eat some gumbo. You'll be good.
We have Popeyes up here. What do we want to go down there for?
There's actually a Popeyes right across the street from this hotel that I'm in.
Nice. See where you're at.
Right near my place.
I think Mark's the one who got the chicken today.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Yeah.
I got chicken. Okay, so I guess we're back to me now. Third pick. Well, hey, some people would argue this one, and they might have to rework the game's story a little bit to make it work. I don't care. For the sake of inclusion, representation, and also just getting another cool female character to play, I'm throwing April in there, because why the fuck not? I mean, you're not going to get a more iconic female character that everybody knows of. Like, yeah, there's other ones you could put in that would make more sense from a fighting perspective, but look, they already put her in the Genesis one, so there's precedent. Why not? Just find a way to get her in there. I'm saying April's my third pick.
Yeah. And not only that, but I mean, she's already kicking ass in the Shredder's Revenge. They could give her somewhere for moves from there, so,
Like I want her to keep the short shorts from the Genesis version. Like, I like that.
There we go. Well, that'd be, what do you call it? An extra skin for her Blaze outfit.
Oh. So you want the April that really isn't April to be April.
But it'll be
I'm
like
sorry.
It'll be an alternate
I've seen her design. She looks like what's your name from
costume. Her original costume will still be the yellow jumpsuit. But anyways, on that note, I want to go for Karai. And I want Karai to either be the either the Mirage version or the the 2003 version, which is basically the Karai version anyways, the Mirage version anyways. But yeah, I want to go with the original Karai as my pick. And it's up to them if they want to give her the same cheesy shit or just give her different moves or something. Maybe her special could be that thing. Just spam the fuck out of you. Maybe just a callback, but make her fight different. And don't make her spin. That was weird. Her walk animation is her spinning. Remember?
Yeah, dude, they got to keep that same Heisman Trophy stance.
Okay.
What is that? What is that shit?
I don't know. But at least make her walk. Don't make her spin.
Posing for a trophy.
Yeah.
I thought that was odd. See, like I said, everyone's seen that online. I never got to Karai. Because like I said, the game, I think from the little, it's like bits and pieces of my memories are coming back. I remember feeling a Street Fighter game just difficult. For me, anyway.
Okay, like Michael Jackson's backup dancer. She's even wearing the outfit from the fucking Thriller video.
And the weird thing is, she wasn't, how should I say, her curves were not accentuated in the game, so I remember a lot of people thought she was a guy.
Yeah, you know what? Guilty. Very first time, but then I saw different angles where I could see, oh yeah, she looks way more feminine. But yeah, it was a little confusing the very first time. Yeah.
So who's your pick, Jupi?
Umeko.
Who?
Umeko.
It sounds familiar. Who was that?
If you get I'll give you cookies if you figure it out. But if you can't figure it out, I'll just tell you.
Was that Raphael's second Fox girlfriend or something from the future?
That was men's call.
No, it's the first one. But anyway, Ninjara.
Oh, wait. Oh, Umeko was her real name?
Yeah, Umeko.
Oh, I mean, I know she had a real name that Ninjara was a nickname, but I forgot what her real name was.
See, I always liked it because I don't know if what translation they were going for, but it sounds like it may be like Plum Child, and I just thought it was kind of a very pretty name. But I like her fighting style, so yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how you would get her in the game or even in the tournament, which might work. Yeah, well, then again, I don't know. I just always like the Archie characters in general, so.
Bonus points if I forgot her name, but if the woman that voices Lola Bunny and Sally Acorn gets to voice Ninjara in the game.
Katsuse?
There you go.
Katsuse?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You said Lola, and who else did you say?
Sally Acorn from the Sonic cartoon.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Cat Susan.
Yep. She does all the stuff that nowadays they give all that kind of stuff to Tara Strong, but used to be the cat that get all those roles. But yeah, but that was a good pick, Jupi. I like that. And it's a bit of a obscure because I don't think in the comic Raph called her by her real name that often. I think only I remember right when they broke up. I don't
They
usually.
didn't.
Yeah, so that's a bit of obscure. I like that. That was a good pick.
Bonus points if Yuki's in the background of her stage somewhere. Because obviously she's not really like a fighter type, but at least have her in the background somewhere. I don't know.
The one with the leather jacket, right?
Yeah. You're up next, Panda.
Okay. So, got another strange one. This one's going to be kind of dark. This will be more like my Akuma character here. But Ronin. From the... the
last Ronin comic?
Series. Yep.
That'd be epic.
I mean, he's just a super jacked, super pissed off Michelangelo with all the turtles' weapons and nothing to lose. Like,
yeah. Yeah, I think by now it's like everyone knows by now. The comic book's been out for a couple of months by now, so it's no longer a big spoiler. Johnny?
Third pick.
Okay, so it's kind of an unpopular pick, but it would be kind of interesting to actually have Splinter in the game.
Which version of Splinter, though?
The Rat Splinter.
I mean, like, from which series, Johnny?
Oh, I'm a fan of the Turtle cartoon, so it'll be the cartoon version.
There's 3 of them. Which cartoon, Johnny?
The 90s.
Okay.
The Saturday morning one. I don't know.
Yeah, most people, that's what their default is.
Remember the game and Tournament Fighters still came out during that time period. I don't think the Y2K version wasn't there in that time, was it?
No, obviously not. No.
Yeah, so it's obviously going to be the Saturday morning cartoon one.
The 80s one, you mean? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I agree with the pick because, the Turtles are always playable and he taught them to fight. So in a sense, it would make sense for him to be active and be part of the game and the scene, I mean, I'm sure they could find a way to get him in. I mean, it's all fake anyway, just make it up. He's a good pick. I mean, I think my general train of thought on these kind of things is that the iconic characters should always be there. Just, if they're important to the story, they should be important to a game like this because, you're still trying to do a representation of the brand. So, even though certain characters like Splinter and April, it might be harder to justify them being in there.
Mm-hmm.
Still gotta get them.
Unless you go with Archie and April, but Archie Comics April was training.
Yeah, I mean, and that had already been done by the time Tournament Fighters Genesis came out. So you could kind of look at 2 of those things and be like, well, okay, maybe she shouldn't be fighting Triceratons, but why not?
Man, what the heck?
So last pick there, Rikki Roxx.
4th pick. Well, that same note. And again, I'm kind of like going first. I got off to a good draft pick with Casey, but then, so many people, they keep taking the other ones I would have thought because, again, there's just so many of these characters that are no-brainers. So it comes all the way back around. And, let's see. Now, are we, I do have to ask before I say, are we only listing characters we pick to be playable? And are we also assuming that certain other characters might be matches?
Wait, what was the second part?
Well, because there's certain characters that if they weren't, I would pick, but maybe not as a playable character and maybe more as a boss. So I was just asking if that's something, if that's an assumption of the question.
Well, just the playable characters, because I would assume the boss would just be either Shredder or Super Shredder or something like that.
Oh, I got something for you.
I mean, because, okay, so one way or the other, the reason why I ask is because I feel like Krang would have to be represented as well. I mean, maybe he didn't necessarily have to be a playable character. Maybe he could just be a boss. That's why I asked. But either way, I would pick
we
him.
could add him as a boss character in there.
Okay, so if he's a non-playable boss character, then I would say, because that makes it tougher, then maybe... Why not Tatsu?
Darn it!
Why not Tatsu?
That was going to be my pick, too.
I mean,
Me too. But I have another one.
They tried to do some synergy with the movie because Asuka was originally going to be Mitsu before the movie didn't do well. So it was already on their minds. And plus the turtle graphics, as we pointed out, they strongly resemble their movie versions. So the movie was already on the minds of the people making the game. So screw it, put Tatsu in there. He's only ever been in the movies and Hyperstone Heist. So why not? Just throw him in there. If we're going for jambalaya and we're pulling from a little bit of everywhere, then let's rep the movies and put him in there.
You know what? Mentioning that about Tatsu and then remembering how you played in Hyperstone Heist, there is something I do have a problem with Hyperstone Heist besides the fact that it seemed like half a game.
Yeah.
He was a human, right?
Yeah.
Why does he blow up at the end when you defeat him? It always blew my mind. Like, okay, these are human. Okay, why I can see the machine blowing up. Why are they blowing up?
The weird thing is, he's like, well, okay, I guess if you count Baxter, he would be like the second human boss of the game. But yeah, but for my pick, I want the Mirage style Foot Elite. But they always had badass designs. They had the big double-bladed, spear thing. They could, throw shuriken, kunai blade. They even have a move that maybe some of the foot soldiers come in and maybe they grab you so you land a cheap shot, stuff like that. So that'd be kind of cool, having a Foot Elite guy in there and have the rest of them in the background, the rest of the foot and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I was going to say Tatsu, but awesome, because that is an awesome pick. I mean, he's underrepresented. He needs to be in there, but this is I have two that I wanted to go with. And, okay, maybe a partial mid-boss type character, and I don't know. I'm stuck between two. Hamato Yoshi as the human form, just whatever, or Oroku Nagi.
Oh, now we're going deep.
Oh my god.
Now we're going deep.
Because that's something I think would be a nice little twist somehow. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to I'm trying to find ways to incorporate one of those characters into a game. Because, they ignore Nagi's story altogether because they put everything from Nagi onto Saki anyway. But I would love to see a game done properly where they do Nagi's story and then Saki is, kind of avenging his brother's death and all that stuff and going after Yoshi.
See,
I would love to see that.
I would put those maybe like hidden DLC characters or, maybe after you beat the game,
but that's kind of where I was going. That's where I was kind of going with that.
Okay. So who do you pick as like a regular playable? I'll throw those in as DLC or hidden something. But what about like a regular playable character so we don't go
Nagi would be like a time paradox because like none of these other characters exist until after he's fucking dead. I mean,
I know.
That would be, I wouldn't mind seeing how they come up with it, but that would be some,
but that's the thing. I would love to see something like that. I really would. Or either they say, oh, this is just Shredder's brother. Because remember in the cartoon, he did have a brother, but he was like all a good, clean guy or whatever. He was a cop or something.
Yeah. Well, okay, for a regular character though, Jupi, who would you pick?
I'm thinking because, like I said, Tatsu was on my mind.
Yeah.
Darn. I'm still thinking. Come back to me on that one. I'll think of something. You have to come back to me after Johnny.
Okay. Well, Panda's next.
All right. So now I'm fighting between two characters. This one that everybody knows and another one that rarely anybody knows.
Okay.
So the one that everybody knows from the Turtles 2 movie, guys, probably the main reason why I got into martial arts in the first place, and that was Kino.
Vanilla Ice. Oh,
Vanilla Ice will also
Oh my
be
god, I love you. That's awesome. Through anyone. I like Kino. Anyone who didn't like Kino, they can just say, they can suck it. And the only reason I like Kino because I thought what's his name was cute, and that's the only reason I liked him. Because I had
Ernie
a crush
Reyes
on him.
Jr.
I had a teen girl crush on him. That's it.
So,
Who's the second character?
all right. So the second character, oddball, not a lot of people know about her, is a fourth turtle by the name of Jenica.
Oh, there we go.
Basically, she was a character who worked for the Foot Clan and got stabbed by Karai for being disloyal. And the Turtles tried to save her life. Leonardo gave her a blood transfusion, therefore turning her into a Ninja Turtle. She was a character that carried like 3 claws, kind of like the Shredders, except it was like a third claw. And she actually wore a yellow bandana.
I mean, it'd be interesting. I mean, she is still more interesting than Venus, so.
Yep.
I'm still just very disappointed because I was sincerely hoping the Panda was going to say he got into martial arts because of Vanilla Ice. I was hoping. I didn't get it.
All right.
When you do your spin kick, you're gonna say rolling on the 5.0.
I'm sure you
That's your kicking.
Okay, that's enough, guys. Stop, collaborate, and listen. Sorry, I had to do it.
We all had to. We all do it every chance we get.
All right. Johnny, your last pick. Not with the lies.
Okay, so again, I'm going to the cartoon theme because I want to make this game as familiar for a lot of people.
In other words, not like TMNT Smash Up.
Yeah.
So again, based on the 80s/90s cartoon, why not? Let's just put Baxter Stockman in there.
There you go.
There we go. Because he could like shoot you with the gun with the giant hand. He could send mousers after you. You can fly around.
But I want him to be. I want him to be in that. What's the name of that machine game that he's in the Turtles game? The Turtles of beat 'em ups.
What, that giant mouser spitting machine thing?
Yeah, I want him to be in that theme.
Well, like a special move or something? Because how would he work as a regular character, Johnny?
They'd find a way. Life finds
Like the
a way.
fly character would have been better. Maybe a special move he gets into the
Maybe
machine.
like his desperation move, he can get in that thing real quick and start shooting people with that shit or whatever,
Hell, Johnny's violent.
And he has to say yippee-yi-yay.
No. I'm not saying no.
Yeah, that's what he said in the arcade. Gotta keep them Konami callback.
Tradition. Gotta keep the 80s cheese.
Like, set him up kind of like Kazuya from Tekken. So it's like normal Baxter Stockman just running around, then you put in a code, and instead of you get the Devil Kazuya, you get like the Fly Baxter Stockman. So like it just transforms from one to the other.
I almost said Baxter, but then I changed it at the very last second.
Yeah. Back to you, Wendy, your final pick.
See, I'm trying to remember the character's name because it's been a while.
Ace Duck. You're thinking of Ace Duck.
Oh my God, Ace Duck finally get the representation he never had. It's just for a little itty bitty clip.
The fine feathered fowl of planet Produthus. It would have to be his Archie version, the Stump Intergalactic Wrestling Champion. Would have
There
to.
you go.
Oh my God, just throw the cow in there. No, that is not my background. But
he'd be like the master hand.
yeah, that's what I couldn't think of his name. Okay, it's the main. The Turtles and Nijao that they defeated this character. He used to summon stuff like a dog, like. What's his name?
Tien Khan.
Tien Khan, yes.
Wow, that's a deep cut. That took me a second.
There we go.
TN
Okay, guys. So the final roster here are
That's what I
obviously.
would pick because have a foe for him.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. They'll have like personal dialogue when they face each other. So that's kind of cool.
Jupi likes the deep cuts.
Yeah.
Jupi likes the deep cuts. We could have put Maligna in there for that same respect.
Yeah. So here we got so we got the 4 turtles, obviously. We got Shredder, we got Krang. So now we got Casey Jones, Slash, Shinigami, Attila the Mad Frog, I think it was his full name of the cartoon, Usagi Yojimbo or Usagi Miyamoto, Rocksteady, Bebop, Han, Mondo Gecko, Leatherhead, April O'Neil, Karai, Ninjara, Ronin, Master Splinter, Tatsu, The Foot Elite, Jenica, Baxter Stockman, Shin Khan, and then extra DLC, Hamato Yoshi, and Oroku Nagi and Oroku Saki. I think those two should be like those kind of characters, like if you press the punch button, it's Oroku Nagi. If you press the kick button, it's Oroku Saki or something. I don't see like how they can make them fight that different.
I got it.
But
How you can okay. This is really stupid, but I'm just going just follow me here. Remember how I felt about the Mortal Kombat 2021 film? How I felt that what's name should have just died and Scorpion should have took over his body? That's what I want for Saki. I want Nagi to overtake Saki's body to fight Yoshi.
Well, that could work. Okay, so it'll be Oroku Saki, but possessed by Nagi, and that'd be an interesting way to kind of not, because I feel weird having Yoshi and not Saki there, you know what I mean? But that would be a good way to do it. Kino for DLC, and also for Super DLC, Vanilla Ice. And the stage will be like the stage, and Toka and Razor can be in the background, and whatever Professor, whatever will be in the background. And when he beats you at his super should be like a bunch of his punch kick crap whatever, and then like when you're like knocked out for the final move, it's like mic drop, word to your mother on your body and shit.
I'm assuming Rat King would still be one of the bosses, though, because nobody said him that he should be in it, so I'm assuming we'll leave him as a boss.
Yeah, I'll put Rat King in there.
Because he's a good boss.
I want the Red Bomber. Have him do, new moves or whatever, but the Red Bomber's got to be in there somewhere. Oh, and for extra reference, he's a former champion or something. Like, just mention that somewhere.
I'm still amused over the fact that, like you said, he probably has a mansion out in like Beverly Hills somewhere. When he comes back to the New York sewers when he's trying to escape something. Maybe he owes some alimony payment somewhere. I don't know.
Eating
a mouse queen.
Ratatouille.
Oh my god! No, he has a mouse queen that he's trying to escape.
Oh, God.
He's a rat king, a mouse queen.
Just to make it even more what the fuck, the guy that he beat to be the former champion was Cuddly the Cowlick.
And that's the thing, though. Like whenever like there's news reporters interviewing the Rat King in his mansion and stuff, it's like you must treat me with respect, for you are now on royal grounds, and all that. Whenever you walk inside.
You know what? I just thought of something. Cuddly the Cowlick, couldn't Cuddly bring a bunch of people from like different universes or all dimensions? I mean,
that would explain Ronin, right? That would explain Oroku Nagi, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I'm just getting another idea for the whole Nagi thing. Oroku Nagi.
Yeah.
Huh? I'm saying like you bring back Oroku Nagi somehow, and maybe Saki feels bad because he didn't get that revenge that he always fully wanted to get, and it's just crazy. And then he's like arguing with Nagi, and Nagi fights him. I'm sorry. I'm getting too deep with this. I'll stop. I just want some.
The roster we came up with we still missed some really, really good ones. Like, Crying Hound.
No, God.
We didn't do Crying Hound or his alter ego, El Misterio.
Yeah.
Like, that should be his Player 2 costume, and all of his dialogue is now in Spanish.
Yeah. Oh, man.
What about that
you gotta save some for DLC, of course. It'll be like season 1, 2 DLC and junk like that.
El Misterio. I actually loved those old Stump Asteroid issues of the Archie comics, so.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I
yeah,
love back then with the comic with the final conflict because the stakes just seemed so high and I just didn't know what the fuck was going to happen after that. It just felt so final, you know. And it was just so cool seeing them all fight the aliens together.
I guess none of us had a lot of love for the Mutanimals, though, because, I mean, somebody said Mondo Gecko, but nobody said Man Ray. Nobody said Jaguar or Dreadmon.
I was thinking about the Mutanimals, but I was saying, you know what? Let's just get away from them because I was trying to think some other characters outside of the Mutanimals. Because I was thinking Archie, and I thought the Archie comics didn't do the Mutanimals too well, although I didn't mind Mondo Gecko and the Mutanimals. So
I thought for sure somebody was going to mention them because, I mean, we talked about Man Ray. He was actually in the Genesis version.
Mm-hmm.
Jaguar would have been good. But I didn't say him because I assumed somebody else would have. But, man, you know, those would have been some good picks, too. That's the thing is there's a lot.
Dreadmon had the speed, so he would have been like a speed-based character.
There's a lot of characters. I mean, there's people who are actually in the game that we didn't pick, like Chrome Dome.
Yeah. Like I said, you know, DLC, extra DLC. We'll have like 5 seasons of DLC with all these random characters and stuff. It'll be a legal nightmare, I'm sure, but, you know.
Not as much of a nightmare.
I have a question for Panda now. So you... sorry. Go ahead.
It's not as much as a nightmare as the poor animator who would have to animate Ninjara's breasts.
Oh Jesus.
That'd be like a full-time job. Men of culture.
Well, as long as it's not like as long as it's not that goofy volleyball game that's just made for you men of culture.
Dead or Alive.
Yes, Dead or Alive. Those jiggle physics.
Soundtrack banger.
I mean, the odd thing about Ninjara is that after she left the comic, she appeared in 2 or 3, I shall say, comics of culture that continued her story.
3 issues.
Why am I not surprised?
I mean, they were legit from another series. I think it was like the creator of Ninjara went ahead and continued her story. There was no reference to the Turtles. I think the advertisement said like, yo, I'm not hanging with teenagers anymore or something like that. That was the only loose connection, but, you know. It picked up
directly from the end of her storyline in the Archie comics. It was like a couple years later. She had been with Mokashan, the guy she left Raph for. She'd been with him. She had his kid. He was murdered. The kid was kidnapped. She was out for revenge and to get the kid back. That's how that story went. They did 3 issues, and it just never got finished. I have them. It was intriguing. Got off to a good start, but never finished. So, and probably never will be. So that character's a big question mark. And legally, you know, nobody else can really use her, so we'll probably never get any kind of resolution on that, which is kind of a bummer, but what are you going to do? People write fanfic.
I was saying, I have a question for Panda. When he mentioned Mondo Gecko, I was going to ask him which version of Mondo Gecko. You said the Mondo Gecko from the 80s cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Because like I said, in the Archie version, he was a human that he was mutated from, he was a teenage boy that became Gecko.
Now I'm going with the old school 80s version, you know, had the punk rocker hair, like not even the mainstream one. I'm talking like the older one where he had the punk rocker hair, he had the cut off jean jacket. Like he looked like an old school 80s skater punk. That's the one I want to go for.
I just hate the cartoons with the status quo because he was supposed to be like the Turtles' neighbor and yet he never appeared.
Oh, you could tell. You could tell. You can really tell that that's where they were probably going with that. And I was kind of surprised because he wasn't around as much. But I remembered him when like 10 years ago, I rewatched the whole series. And it was like, Mondo Gecko, oh, I remember that character. I thought he was around more. You know, like me when Casey Jones said, I thought he was around more. You know, and Mona Lisa, like I said, that is burned into memory. I liked the character in the 80s show.
Weird thing with Mondo Gecko, I did like him in the old cartoon because at least he was more capable, but like I guess the 2012, like their running gag was that he was useless, and I hated that.
But voiced by Robbie
because he's one of my favorite characters. Like how you bring him back, and not only that, but you get him voiced by Robbie Wrist, who voiced Michelangelo in the 90s movies. How do you bring him back like that and then make him a useless wimp, you know, character, like a jobber character and stuff? You know, like, no, man,
He was annoying.
I like the Archie Mondo Gecko because, you know, when you got Archie Mondo Gecko, you also have Candy Fine. So,
There you go.
That's where I was going with that, because I'm just thinking like a fighting stage, and like if the fighting stage surrounded around that Mondo Gecko, you have Candy in the background.
she'd be in the background. She would be like where the hooker is in the Leo's level. That would be Candy.
Here we go, back to the hooker.
But if she black-haired or
Ricky,
blonde,
okay, I just got one thing to say to you. Do not ever change. You are a wonderful man of culture.
I do my best.
I can't be a lady. I can't be a lady of culture. There's nothing there for me.
Well, you got Rat King and his, you know, impressive biceps and rock hard abs and everything. You know? And we all know now he's fucking rich like hell.
I'm not into bondage.
He's rich. Rat King is a Brazilian.
Oh wait a minute. Yeah, but you know, I can't handle the rats, man. The rats. Sorry, the rats just that's a major turnoff. No rats. I'm scared of rats. I don't like rats. New York rats. Oh my God, have you seen New York rats?
Well, that's them, New York rats. You know, it's like
oh my gosh,
welcome to our humble abode and our countless rat children. You know.
No, oh my God. Years ago, I went to New York to visit my family, ironically, the family of the cousin that was just here that would leave. And I was walking through the park and I saw something just run away because my aunt was with me. She said, Wendy, walk faster. Let's go. Let's go. We walk from the supermarket. So I think I just saw like a cat or something. Wendy, keep walking. I said, what's wrong? What's going on? Wendy, let's go. So I just followed her back to their apartment that they lived in. And I said, what was wrong? Because you come to like a little park like area. She said, what's wrong? I just saw a cat or a squirrel or something. Wendy, that was not a cat. That was a rat. I was like, they come at me.
See, that's how we got
in New York City, the rats are so big that the first thought is, Splinter, is that you?
Yeah.
That's why he got to be the boss of the game, because he has that kind of sway. I like to imagine he's sitting in that mansion. Like, I can't get over this. I never thought of this until today, but now we know this guy's a secret bazillionaire because he won the first Tournament Fighters tournament, so he's rich. But like,
wait, who's financing it?
Huh?
Who was financing it again?
They never said.
I know Channel 6 is covering it. I don't think they were financing it. I don't know.
Cuddle it. It's the cow. It's the cow.
Yep.
Cows out there robbing banks.
Remember, they had those trees that had literal money growing from their branches.
Stump and Sling.
Stump and Sling.
Yeah, he just shook them a little. That's who. Dude, no, that makes perfect sense. They bankrolled the Tournament Fighters tournament so that they could choose the winners to compete at the next Stump Asteroid event. I mean, it makes perfect sense. That's what the next game would have been.
And then how about this? And those who are also funding it, they're betting money on it, but they set it up so that the Rat King could win, so that for the next one they can bet against him to lose. The turtles weren't in the first one.
That is the kind of shit they would do. We just cracked it, guys. We just cracked the whole thing wide open.
Yeah, Stump and Sling were secretly financing the Tournament Fighters. And they probably paid money because, hey, you know, Bird Thompson, right? Oh, yes, think of the ratings. Go, film that. But yeah. So yeah, kind of wraps it up for this episode. We kind of covered a lot of things. We went even deep to like Oroku Nagi, who, yes, you're right. I mean, the whole fucking shebang started because of him, you know, in the comics and everything. I love how they made this like 4-part miniseries based on the Lego figures. Like when they had the IDW comics based on the cartoon, they added like the last couple of pages Lego adaptation of the first Mirage issue, and they made it sound like I think Shredder went to attack Tang Shen and Splinter, but luckily Tang Shen moved for their family and left and were never seen again. I'm like, that didn't happen in the Mirage. But,
so it's pretty much Dragon Ball Z then, right?
Yeah.
Oh, good thing they had parachutes and they ejected from the planes that Nappa just blew up, just destroyed. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's a good thing that it's Sunday because there's not one single person in that building or this whole entire town that we're going to blow up. Oh my God.
We see, Donatello threw his staff. Then he threw his staff right in Shredder's face, and Shredder tried to do a thermite grenade, bounces back at him. He blew up like all hell. And then it's like, no, I can see parachutes. He's okay.
The old G.I. Joe approach.
Oh
No.
God. Oh, or how about
Can't
the
kill it,
original
pop it out of the
first,
parachute.
or how about the original first Ninja Turtles movie when Tatsu beat up that kid and they added breathing sounds to
Oh
it?
yeah.
Because I was like, that kid's not moving. Like the kid, I didn't think about it, but seeing it older, I said, oh my God, that kid dead. I don't care what they're saying.
I have the novelization. He's dead in the book. And in the
Yeah,
remember
that's
that. I
how I
remember
learned
that
about
too.
it.
In
Yeah.
the movie, they're just, he'll be all right. It's like, he's not fucking moving, guys.
Yeah, but like I said, see, I didn't learn about novelization until later, but I did rewatch the movie, and I was thinking about it. I said, wait a minute. They sure he's supposed to be alive? That does not look right. And then I found out about the novelization, said that, yeah, Tatsu's supposed to kill that kid. And then Tatsu's reaction after he did it makes more sense, too.
And that's why the other ones, like when the cops came at the end, that's like the other kids were so quick to rat everybody out to the cops because like they saw, like, holy shit, our boss just killed a kid. Like, none of us are safe. You know, this whole thing's a big scam. Like, you know, if the kid's dead, it kind of sells it a little bit more. Like, this is the moment when all these kids realize they're in way the fuck over their head and that maybe this isn't going to work and maybe we're backing the wrong horse here. It's one thing, okay, it still works if they just watch him beat the kid up. But if they see him kill the kid, like, it comes through a little stronger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, getting to
Mhm.
smoke, skateboard,
Yeah.
and play Narc, the arcade game, is not enough to like justify, you know, the risk of just getting killed. The one time Tatsu has a random temper tantrum and shit.
My novelization of the movie, before I forgot, actually, my novelization of the movie is signed by Raphael and Michelangelo. They're just not the
Wow.
real ones. It was just the real ones. No, there was back in 1990, there was a sporting goods store opening close by to where we lived, like in East Brunswick. And for some reason, they had a couple guys in Ninja Turtles mascot costumes do a personal appearance at the opening of the store. So there was a bunch of people lined up at like 8 o'clock in the morning waiting to meet two of the Ninja Turtles. And the costumes were fuzzy. That struck out to me. Like they were literally like mascot costumes.
Hey,
But,
it's something for the furry fans.
I don't know. So Mike, there was only two of them. There was only Mike and Raph. They were the only two that showed up. I guess Leo and Donnie were out getting pizza or hookers or something. But so Mike and Raph signed my book.
Back to the hookers.
Well, maybe they're getting pizza or maybe they're getting hookers. I mean, it was 8 o'clock in the morning. They had all day to do whatever they wanted. But they
Oh my
definitely was out at the sporting goods store with Mike and Raphael. That's all I do know. Maybe it was hookers then pizza. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Or hookers with pizza.
I just know
Or the
Leo
hookers
wasn't
brought the
there.
pizza.
Leo wasn't there and it upset.
Why am I encouraging this?
yeah,
Read the hookers and pizza.
Oh my god. So the turtles got so if the turtles get hookers, can we say that the rat king gets ring rats?
But bum. See, we're digital, we're live. We're live, pal. Otherwise, that's exactly where I would post my famous GIF of Pinkie Pie doing the rim shot.
Oh jeez.
So wait a minute, wouldn't that mean Mondo Gecko gets lot lizards?
I mean, I don't know. If you have candy, fine. Why mess that up? You know.
I'm sorry, Johnny.
Yeah, he'll still get candy, except this candy with an I instead of candy with a Y.
Oh my god. All right, amigos. So I think before we all get canceled, before this becomes our final episode or whatever, let's wrap it up for this episode of the fighting podcast. And I think we'll come back eventually with Mortal Kombat 2 whenever we have time and stuff like that. And so this is Mark Rodriguez here signing off. Once again, we're on Spotify, Amazon, Samsung, YouTube, and Odyssey. Well, actually, this episode's Odyssey exclusive, but you know what I mean. And
Liam White, aka Ninja Panda 1980. I am out of here.
Rikki Roxx signing off from the podcast. Happy to be here as always. Great time tonight, guys. We had a lot of fun and looking forward to the next one. Just call me and I'm there. But
Jupi Chan here. Nice being here. I had a lot of fun. Learned about some hookers.
And Johnny Rodriguez.
yeah, I know Johnny's trying to hold his laughter right now, most likely.
Johnny's got the best sign off every time. Every time we sign off, he's got the best. He steals all my thunder. He just says, Johnny Rodriguez, because nothing else needs to be said.
Yes.
All right, guys. Catch you later, all.
Have a great one.